What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the potential of a $500 relief check that's supposed to go towards gas purchases. But I want to address what's going on there, who is actually proposing that. I want to talk about a potential stimulus update, where we are seeing the talks and negotiations go for right now. We're going to address the Ukraine news, talk about food shortages as well. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover. So make sure you stick around for this entire video. And if you could and you enjoy these daily uploads, do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like button. Now, let's get right into the daily news for Wednesday, March 30th. Here's what we know. Yesterday, we seemed to be getting a lot of good news. And the good news was that the war in Ukraine was almost over. I talked about this, but I also said that there's some people that are skeptical that this may not be the end. Well, today things are getting a little worse, right? We're getting some different news. There are actually reports that Ukraine is shelling Russian territory. If Ukraine is attacking Russian territory, this would mean the war is only getting worse, not better. There's also reports that Russia has never had any intention to withdraw from Ukraine, but they say instead retreat, gather more supplies, and regroup. That is what I said yesterday, that the likelihood of Russia withdrawing from Ukraine is very small. What's likely to happen, and this is also according to Pentagon officials, was Russia was running out of supplies. They needed to figure out a way to get more equipment. Well, they need to figure out a way to regroup because what they were doing wasn't working and people were getting killed. So that at least is the report as this morning, is they're gonna gather, they're gonna regroup and get more supplies. Now, here's the reason I bring this up. I bring this up because there is a lot of talks from government officials, especially here in the US, and they are very fixated on what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And I get it, and it's understandable. It's a big issue. It's a world, it's a problem that the world has to deal with. Well, until the war between Russia and Ukraine is over, many lawmakers don't expect to see any significant changes or bills passed. That's a huge problem. And the reason for this is because of all the uncertainty that remains around the world. And some lawmakers don't want to pass a bill or a provision that could potentially impact us here in the United States, but it impacts us here. The problem is we are still impacted by a war between Russia and Ukraine. So the expectation is we are going to see some changes. We are going to see some bills passed, but when this happens, that we don't know. Again, some are saying that they don't want to push anything too strong because they don't know what is happening around the world. So this does kind of illustrate that what's going on in other countries will impact us here at home. Now, this means that President Biden's economic agenda, this is not expected to pass anytime soon. And even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she stated that she never believed that the Build Back Better Act would get passed. And that she said it's because she was never under the illusion that Joe Manchin would back the Build Back Better legislation. Now, here's what I can tell you. Senator Joe Manchin has been a thorn in Democrats' side. He didn't want to get the Build Back Better Act passed. He wanted to see the bill that he worked on, the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. He was all for that, and he made it seem like he would not vote for the Build Back Better Act at $2.5 or $1.7 trillion. He wasn't going to vote for that until progressives voted for his bill, the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Now, here's the issue. Progressives said, yes, we will vote for that, but we need to vote for the Build Back Better Act first. That was their ask. Well, they knew if his bill, the $1.2 trillion bill, got passed first, he was never going to come back to theirs. Warned President Biden, but President Biden said, nope, trust me, I will get it done. And nothing got done. Here's what's going on now. Senator Joe Manchin, he's being looked at. as pretty much the the kind of the issue with all the bills is it has to go through him. Even though he is not directly negotiating with lawmakers, everything has to go through him because it's a 50-50 split in the Senate. And he's the one, again, he's not up for re-election. He's not up for re-election in 2022. So guess what? Do you think he really cares if people don't like him right now? No. Do you think he cares that people are not going to vote for him? No, because he's not up for re-election. Again, a lot of issues. But here's what you need to understand. This is just part of the overall problem with Congress. Right now, there's many different negotiations that are going on right now about different bills. But will these bills and will these negotiations lead to anything? Or are they just for show? Well, this is the question that many people have had. I see a lot of the comments and I see a lot of you guys are saying they're just doing this for show. Lawmakers are questioning the exact same thing. Does this lawmaker even want to see this bill pass, or is he or she just doing this because he wants to look good for his constituents? So I just want to warn you that when we hear new rumors about possible stimulus coming, just keep in mind that these are just rumors. They could just be a lawmaker, his or her way of putting out their ideas. This might not have any support. They might not have any support whatsoever for their bill, but that's not going to stop them, because what their goal is to do is to let their constituents know, hey, we're trying. And again, it's what we are expecting because we are just right around the corner from the midterm elections. So keep that in mind, because I do have, and I talked about this just earlier, there's a proposal for a $500 relief bill, gas relief bill. Okay? Do I think that's going to pass? No, I don't. But I will address that in just a minute, and I will explain why and what could actually be on the table because of that. So, let's first address some food shortages that we are currently seeing. Because as of today, the USDA stated that we should expect to see shortages in chicken, milk, cooking oils, and even more. The USDA has also pointed to the fact that in order to reduce shortages, the prices of products must increase. So, they are expecting that all food is predicted to cost between 4.5 and 5.5% more just this year. And just keep in mind that poultry alone is expected to see an increase of 6 to 7%. And the issue that many are going to face is that these price increases will actually limit what people can actually afford. And as I said earlier this week, these prices are going to dictate how well some families eat. And experts do anticipate that an increase in obesity is going to happen due to the foods that Americans are able to comfortably afford. Big difference. Comfortably afford. And I bring this up because if you have pastas every single day, you have just fatty foods. And here's the issue. Some restaurants, some fast food chains are cheaper than going and getting a meal from the store, bringing it home and preparing it. Okay? Let me just give you an idea. Let me just give you a little. If you go to Wendys, you can get a 4 for $4. You get a burger, you get nuggets, you get fries, and you get a drink for like $4 and something, less than $5, right? That's a pretty good deal. That's a very good deal. But if every single meal you get a 4 for $4, you are going to most likely gain weight, because that is not the healthiest meal that you could get. But at the same time, if you were to go and get the ingredients to make that at home, according to multiple reports, it will cost roughly the same. So, are people going to go spend the amount of money to buy the ingredients, bring it home, cook it, when they could just go to Wendys, get a 4 for $4, and eat that? Some yes, some no. But let me know. Is that something that you would even consider? Is going to Wendys and getting a 4 for $4? Now, while the White House does attempt to bring price stability back into the market, what we know is that they're going to try to get prices from going sky high. And the way they're going to do that is they are expecting farmers are going to just plant more crops because they are expecting them to hopefully take advantage of the increased price signal. Now, in doing so, what's going to happen is they say this will work out because what's going to happen is prices of products will eventually have to come back down as more farmers are producing more crops. The good news is all it takes is time. But again, the bad news is all it takes is time. So we have to wait. Now, the one thing I know a lot of people are here for is those $500 federal gas relief checks. So let's address those. This is a new proposal that's supposed to be coming out today. This is coming from Representative Josh Harder out of California. Now, these $500 federal gas relief checks are going to go to every single driver. This means if you are 16 years of age and older, you get $500. Now, who gets that money? It will go to whoever filed for your tax return, right? If it's your parents, so let's say you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you don't work, but your parents filed for you, okay, you are on their tax return, your parents would receive an extra $500, okay? Couples would receive $1,000. They would get two checks, $500 for one spouse, $500 for the other, okay, since they're two drivers. If you have 4 children, say 5 children, you would get 4 children, you get $2,000. 5 children, you get $2,500 on top of the $1,000 for the parents. So you get $3,500. Now the purpose behind this is to provide Americans with the ability to put gas in their vehicles. Okay? Not to give them a stimulus check, although the way this proposal has been written, according to reports, is that you are going to get the payments pretty much the same way you got your stimulus check, but it would come about 30 days after the proposals passed. It wouldn't come days after. Okay? So just keep in mind, there's also no income cap. So people who make $20 billion or worth $20 billion would still get the $500 check. Even somebody that makes $2,000 a year would still get the $500 check. There's no difference. Now, do I think this will pass? No, I don't. Do I think these proposals are getting the ball moving? Yes, I do. Now, these are going to spark some interest eventually. And when they do, Congress will be forced to listen to the American people, what the American people want, what they're needing right now. And that's what we're going to see. But what is interesting about all these different proposals coming out right now is they're all coming out of California. Because in California, we are seeing gas prices above $5 and even $6 per gallon in some locations. So keep in mind that the entire United States is looking at California. What are you doing? Because here's the reason why. Let's say, so I live in Washington State, okay? In Washington State, gas prices right now I think cost like $4.50 or 60 cents per gallon, right? Gas prices here are less than in California. If California is not going to pass some type of relief for gas prices, and their gas prices are much higher, why would any other state in the United States provide some form of relief? They wouldn't. Okay? So that's the issue. That's why people are looking at California to see, what is California doing? What is Governor Gavin Newsom doing? Well, Governor Gavin Newsom, he's proposing a $400 debit card for all car owners. He's proposing free public transit, which is big, which is a huge help. He's also proposing a gas tax cut. Okay? A cut. Not a holiday, a cut. And this would be part of an $11 billion relief package to help with higher gas prices. Again, to help with higher gas prices, not to pay for the entire thing. Big difference. But also keep in mind, gas prices nationally have leveled off to about $4.23 a gallon. So there is a lot of talks about what would happen if gas prices go back up. As of right now, they're leveling off or actually coming back down. So if they continue to drop off and come down, that is good news, but it's bad news because you wouldn't receive any form of stimulus. The other issue is, if they go back up, that's where these talks are actually going to speed up. All right? As they do, I promise I'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. Now, let's address the talks coming out of Russia and Ukraine, because here's what we know. Russia says they are not seeing anything coming from the peace talks. The Kremlin say there has not been any breakthroughs as of yet, and there's nothing that really excites Russia as far as what Ukraine has laid out for their demands. But here's the other issue. NATO is actually very skeptical that Russia will actually pull their troops back, because what we are seeing is that Russia is going to pull back some troops, but they're only going to shore up their attack on the eastern Donbas region of Ukraine. That's what we're seeing, and that's what we're hearing. So the expectation as of right now, this war is not over. We are still in the middle of it, and it could potentially be drug out for another few weeks or months. So as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, also hitting that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.